We are recording. Welcome back into that Sean podcast. I be the Big Ush. This is the Cat Daddy. We're back again, giving you some of them opinions. You probably don't care about them, but we're still gonna give them to you. Anyways, Cat Daddy, what's on your mind?
I don't know how, but the NFL is able to make a spectacle out of literally anything, which includes a schedule reveal. I don't think there's any other sport where a schedule reveal is such a big deal, but for the NFL, that marketing machine they have, that profit machine they have, they make sure the NFL is known every month of the year, in season, off season, doesn't matter when it is. The NFL makes its presence known, and most recently it did so through the schedule reveal.
That did. We'll get to some of that a little bit later. Also, we're going to wrap up some of our overall draft opinions. We still got our draft reaction episodes where we were diving actually into the draft classes. But we're going to give just a little talking points on certain things that may have affected this particular draft. Now, we do have some news going on. Cat Day, how about you appraise everybody of the news?
So recent news has been, not only did the NFL release their full schedule for the year, but they also went through and they released the international schedule, their international slate of games. So we have a couple of games in London, game in Germany, game in Mexico. Let me see if I can pull it up for us real quick.
Just let me know for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, week 4, Minnesota and New Orleans are playing in London. Week 5, Green Bay and the Giants.
Green Bay's playing in London.
First time ever. They're the last team that's going to play in London. They're the last one on the schedule. Let's see, we have week 8, Jacksonville and Denver play in London. And I think those are the 4 London games. We have the game in Germany, which is Seattle and Tampa Bay in week 10. And then there is the Mexico game, which I believe is going to be Arizona and San Francisco in week 11. So that's the slate of international games.
Interesting.
And then we have our Thanksgiving games. And this year we even have Christmas Day games. Does Christmas get any better than seeing Green Bay travel to Miami for a Christmas Day game? I'm liking
it does get better.
It does.
Well, if Dallas beats the Eagles, it'll be a lot better.
That one's a Saturday game, so it's right before
Jumping into
Christmas.
Some more news.
Yeah. So on top of the schedule, the international schedule being released, more recently, Jarvis Landry has landed in a new home, which is going to be the New Orleans Saints. So can he be that final piece of their offense?
I think it's a good fit.
You think so?
With Olave being the deep threat, and then you have Michael Thomas coming back, being that intermediate guy, and Jarvis Landry can be that chain mover.
Yeah, I like it because it's going to help take pressure off Chris Olave, at least early on. He won't have to be facing the NFL defenses as a rookie, taking on the number 2 corner. He can work as a number 3 receiver and then just move his way up to the number 2. I don't think Jarvis Landry signed a multi-year deal. I think it was just a 1-year deal. Base was like $3 or $4 million, up to $6. I think that's what it was.
Right.
So we have Jarvis Landry landing.
Any more news out there?
Oh, of course there is. We have Jair Alexander becoming the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. So Packers and Alexander agreed to a 4-year, $84 million extension. And I like it. I think he deserves to be paid like the best cornerback. So that part's definitely deserved. I'm really glad that he didn't reset the market with some big ridiculous $25 million per year deal. the highest before was Denzel Ward at 20.1 million, and now Alexander gets 21 million. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit more. He gets the highest amount for a signing bonus for a defensive back at 30 million. But overall, I like the deal. It keeps Alexander in Green Bay for 4 more years. Rodgers is there for at least 3 more years. Bakhtiari, Kenny Clark.
Technically 5, I believe. Isn't it 5?
It's a 4 for Alexander.
It doesn't include. It's an extension, isn't it? Because it doesn't include this year.
So this would be the 5th year option year that the Packers exercise, and then the next 4 would be part of the extension. So it keeps them there for 4 years, but it keeps that core of players like Alexander, Rodgers, Devondre Campbell.
Maybe it's time to get you a Packer jersey.
Maybe. I do like the number 23. I do. So I don't mind him getting paid $21 million, especially when you see players like Christian Kirk getting paid 18 and Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill getting 30 or close to 30. I don't mind seeing him getting paid 21. I'm just glad they paid him before the market got absolutely reset and somebody makes that 25 or more per year.
You got some guys coming up.
Yeah.
All right. So, any more news? Anything else?
Do you want to talk about Ryan Tannehill now, or save that for the AFC South?
Let's just talk about it now. That idiot.
All right. So Ryan Tannehill find himself in a little bit of hot water because he made the comments after Malik Willis was drafted. It's not my job to mentor him, Malik Willis. So I agree. Malik Willis has a head coach. He has a quarterback coach. He has an offensive coordinator. Now it's Ryan Tannehill's job to be the starting quarterback and the leader of the Tennessee Titans. So is he required to be a mentor? Not really, but he is the leader of that team. You know, it's a fine line he has to walk there, but the statement's true.
Here's what I'll say about it. I'll say this: is it his job to mentor him? If you take the question just straight out, no, it's not his job. But there's a way to answer a question. That's my thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, let's take years ago. There's 2 different teams, 2 different players, and I'm going to mention a player that a lot of people don't like. But they don't like him for a different reason. And there's a different player that everybody loves that I don't like. So you know where I'm going with this. So, all right, So not Michael Vick first. Michael Vick, I'm going to say second. So Donovan McNabb, when Terrell Owens basically, what is it? He broke his. What did he break?
Oh, I can find out.
Whatever he broke.
It was lower. It was lower body. It was a leg
bad.
thing.
Right. So, Terrell was going to be out. Terrell was a big part of their team at the time. And Donovan goes on and basically says, "We won without him. We used to win without him. We'll win again without him." It was a poor way to. That basically was the interview that fractured their relationship, because it was a poor way to handle that. Fast forward to Michael Vick. I think it was Algie Crumpler who got injured, who was Vick's favorite target. And Michael Vick went and said he's going to be clearly missed. He is a big part of our offense. He's a big part of why we are successful. But we do need other players to step up and take up the mantle so we can continue to win until he can come back. Way better wordage, way better way to phrase an answer to that question. Ryan Tannehill. A better way to answer the question is it's not my job to mentor. The way you could have answered is, I'm the starting quarterback of this team. I will continue to prepare like the starting quarterback of this team. If this kid comes in and he can shadow me and learn something.
Yeah, it's not Ryan Tannehill's job to teach Malik Willis how to play quarterback, because Malik Willis has been doing it for years. And again, he has coaching staff surrounding him to help him grow and develop, so it's not his job to teach him how to play quarterback. It is his job to lead, though. So again, there's a fine line there, but the statement, it's not my job to mentor, is technically an accurate statement. His job is to be a starting quarterback, lead the Titans.
But it's a poor phrasing.
Yeah.
It's very poor phrasing.
All right. And then Terrell Owens broke his leg and tore a ligament in his right ankle. So when he played in the Super Bowl, he had some screws inserted in there to help him play.
Because he is... All right, there will never be a freak athlete like Terrell Owens ever again in this game. Freak.
Built differently. That's what he was. Right.
No joke. I bet you he's faster than half the players in the league right now.
Probably.
And I ain't talking the offensive lineman. All right, moving on. Do we have any other news?
We just have rookies signing their contracts. So far, everything's gone smoothly. I don't believe anybody has held out or not signed because of contract language like previous years. So far things are going pretty well. And I think that's a lot of the big stuff for this week.
All right, I don't mean to just jump into something else. I don't know when this happened. I got some stuff popping up on my screen. Someone caught a raccoon at a baseball game.
I briefly saw a clip of that. Yeah, that is crazy.
That is nuts. I'm going to a football game this year. Hopefully there's no rodents.
It depends on where you're going to that game.
Anyways, jumping into the remainder of our draft discussion. And my whole discussion I want to bring up with you, Cat Daddy. Do you think, and if you do agree, how much did it affect? So the COVID year, last year, and the extra year of eligibility, how much did that affect this year's draft? Do you think it pushed specific players down? Did some players get a chance with that extra experience to get propped up? Did some players get undrafted because we had a bigger pool of players? What do you think?
I definitely think the COVID year factored into this draft class, because the big thing that we were talking about with this draft class was it may not have the top end talent like previous classes have had, but it more than made up for it with the excellent depth that it had with different positions. There were players that we were liking who were getting taken in 5, 6, round 7. So I definitely think it added to the depth because you had people staying an extra year or having that extra year of eligibility. And for some of these players, they may not have had a full 2020 year to display. And they probably didn't feel confident going into the draft with a partial year or an abbreviated season. So I think this year we saw a much bigger class because of those individuals coming back for that additional year. It probably did push some of those players who would normally be taken around 6 and 7. It pushed them to undrafted free agents. Like, I imagine, the name just ran out of my. No, forgot the name.
Well, I got one in particular that I can name.
Yeah.
Isaac Taylor, Stewart.
Isaac Stewart Taylor. Yeah,
Or is it Isaac Stewart Taylor?
I think it's Stewart Taylor.
Yes.
Either way,
He's
from
the Cowboys undrafted free agent out of USC.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that guy, you were seeing him as second, third round pick. He's like, what is he? A little over 6 foot, long arms, ran a 4.4. Somehow this guy goes undrafted. You know, in any other year, this is a guy that anyone's taken a flyer on in the 5th, 6th round.
Exactly. You have, I think it was Charleston Rambo who transferred to Miami, Florida.
Right.
Probably not as well known of a receiver compared to everybody else that we've been talking about through this class, but I would imagine that he would have been a guy who would have gone 5, 6, 7. And just due to the depth overall, he just got pushed back further. Jojo Doman from Nebraska.
We know who the biggest recipient. Yeah, Jojo Doman. But we know who the biggest recipient of this particular situation, that extra year. You know who benefited the most?
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett
is obviously the guy, because if he would have if he wouldn't have had that extra year, no way he's a first round pick.
Velus Jones Jr.
Right.
Yeah, these are guys who are able to take advantage of it. Now, with the depth of this class, I don't think that's going to occur this coming year with 2023's draft. I think this is just a very unique year.
No. Or take guys like Devontae Wyatt. If it was a regular year, do you think he would have came out last year instead of this year?
If it was a full uninterrupted season, as if nothing happened, I think he would have come out last year. But
yeah, there's a couple of guys. There's a couple of guys that I'm pretty sure would have came out last year instead of this year. Hell, another Cowboys pick, not to be a homer, but I think Damone Clark, even though he's injured, would have been picked earlier instead of where he was at in the 5th round, because I mean, you don't get that talent every day, and just a chance of that talent. I mean, we've seen it in the past.
Yeah, very true.
Hey, we saw it this year with David Ojabo.
We did.
Apparently, also, Damone Clark is actually impressing Cowboys coaches because he's showing up. He's walking. He's showing up. And apparently he told reporters, you know something, if it was up to me, I'd be playing tomorrow. Thank goodness it's not up to him. Let's let the doctors do their job. It is. He's apparently all about work.
Good. That's exactly what we wanted from a player.
He looks like a grown-ass man, just saying. Like, he looked like he's 30.
Better check that birth certificate.
All right. Also, another side effect of the COVID year. So, when you have players that didn't play, like Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater, and these players came out and excelled, Jamar Chase, do you think that prompted up other players and had teams more willing to bet on upside?
When you think back to last year's draft, there was no in-person combine either. So not only were players missing the entire year, but then you had all of these players who missed the opportunity to display their skills in front of all the teams. So you were missing that too. So what were teams doing? They're evaluating more on tape. They're relying on scouts and how they felt about the players. So it was a completely different year. So
it was the scout draft.
It was. And we're going to find out soon which teams did well.
But I mean, my question more so is just like, I think they are. I mean, case in point, the number 1 overall pick. Then the number, 3 overall pick. I mean, every indication leading up to the draft, it said that Derek Stingley was going to fall. And he did not. Then you have, Travon Walker goes number 1 overall, and it's all about the traits. The tape doesn't not yet. I mean, it shows a really good player, but I mean, not the consistency you're looking for.
Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, Ajabo going in the second round, being injured like he is, that's a true redshirt year probably. Mechie going in the second round, another guy who, when's he gonna? I mean, is he even gonna play?
Yeah, I mean, you think Jamison Williams went in the first round with the torn ACL?
Right. Speaking of ACLs, we forgot some news. To the dismay, and this is sad news. Even though it's a Bear player, Tariq Cohen, battling back, trying to make his comeback, tore his ACL training.
I knew he suffered a lower leg injury. I didn't know what it was, though, so it was a torn ACL. And this is tough because I think he's a free agent right now. He's not even on the Bears roster, so he was trying to fight for a roster spot. That's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. He's already an uphill battle being a smaller guy. Any other thoughts on how the draft has changed?
I know you mentioned it before. Could we see players skip their final year of eligibility, just sit out, rely on their first 2 years of tape, and then enter the draft? And you know what, the way things have gone the past 2 years, it's very possible we could see that sooner than later.
I think there's a different reality. I could see players basically mail it in their final year. I think that's what Kayvon Thibodeau did this year. I think he played well enough to show that he's skilled, but I don't think he played to his ability because he saved a bit so that he wouldn't get injured. Honestly, I think that's one thing. I know for a fact. Well, rephrase. I hear rumor. Wink, wink. That's what Derek Stingley Jr. did.
If you're a player who's projected to be a high draft pick and you suffer even a minor injury during your final year, what's the rush to return? You think if I rush back, I can be with my team, but I'm also potentially going to sacrifice draft positioning and millions of dollars if I don't come back as strong as I did before. What if I re-aggravate that injury? What if I make it worse?
Especially like Thibodeau, it's a little different. Oregon was in the mix. Stingley, your team's already got 4 losses.
Yeah, LSU was out of it in the beginning of the season.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Shut it down. Because, your only reason, this is where I do agree with our buddy Matt, to really push as hard as you can go if you're a top tier prospect, is for a national championship. That's it. If you are not in the mix for a national championship, these bowl games do not matter. Do not be Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith hurt himself at the bowl game, lost draft positioning, then worked his butt off to get back in play at a high level. But all that work deteriorated his body faster than you expected. And a guy who could have had, let's say, a 10-year career had a 3-year career because of all the wear and tear it took just for him to get back on the field.
Yeah. We had a quarterback
Not to
that I
mention,
liked.
we don't know.
Go ahead.
Was that?
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, not to mention, let's be honest, we don't really know if Jalen Smith was fully back. Because, I mean, those were like nerve endings. That's a different story. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say that a quarterback that I really liked in this draft process was Matt Corral, and he was injured in the bowl game. I think it was the first quarter of his bowl game. We have no idea what the quarterback race would have looked like had Matt Corral been able to perform at the combine, at pro days. We don't know what that would have looked like, but here we are.
Everything I was hearing is that Matt Corral is a difficult quarterback to analyze because of the offense he played in. They blamed the offense. The scouts blamed the offense he played in instead of his skills. They're like, we don't know what he's going to be at the NFL level. You know, also his top receiver was slow as dirt.
Man.
All right, moving on. Let's go to the schedule. And then let's talk about some of our favorite matchups. But my first one, I'd like to just take the lead here. And I'm going to pick a matchup that's fantastic. That I think the NFL has, what's the word I'm looking for? They did us a disservice. So we get the Rams at the Chargers. So the LA game. We get the LA game in week 17. What? Excuse me? Am I wrong for thinking that is the wrong week to have that game?
Would you rather have a week 18, the Battle of Los Angeles?
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather have it week 15.
No, they know that both teams are going to be in playoff positioning, so it's going to be a good battle to see which of these teams will make that.
Both teams might be settled by that time.
It's very possible. Yeah, it's true too.
Now, there's a couple early games. One that might be one of your favorite games. So I'm going to bring that one up first, and then I'm going to bring up my one of the early games. I think they're both the same week, too. No, I think mine's week 2. So yours, Packers, traveled down to Tampa, week 3 of the season. How do you feel about that one, Cat Daddy?
You know, looking back at last year and how week 1 the Packers got that slow start against New Orleans, but then they rebounded quickly after that. I hope that the Packers get off to a fast start, because when they begin their season, they have their first 2 games against division opponents. They travel to Minnesota, they host Chicago, and then they travel down to Tampa Bay. I'm going to enjoy these Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady games as much as I can, as long as I can. I like the matchup. I just hope that Green Bay is in peak form for it.
All right, so we got the one I was talking about is it's a battle between me and Matt. Week 2, we got the Bengals coming to Dallas. See how that matchup goes. But we got a couple revenge games. Oh.
We got week 10. Do you know what happens week 10?
No. We're not getting there yet. We're not going there yet.
All right.
Well, I'm going to talk about these revenge games. The first revenge game, I think, is going to be a blowout. Week 1, Broncos at Seahawks. Russell going to tear them up. Pete Carroll, he going to make Pete Carroll wish he hadn't given him up.
I hope so. I hope Russ throws for like 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just so he can show Pete Carroll that he's still got the arm. He's still got the ability. He can still do it. And Pete just wouldn't let Russ cook.
Next, another revenge game. I don't know how this one's going to turn out, though. Week 10, we have the Washington Commanders. With their quarterback, they call me Mr. Glass, Mr. Carson Wentz, going to Philadelphia to see those Eagles. Ooh.
You know, it gets better too, because in week 8, Washington Commanders and their quarterback, Mr. Glass, travel to Indianapolis after the 1-year dumpster fire that was 2021.
So we got a couple more. We got week 16, Bengals at Patriots. Should be an interesting matchup. We got week what is it? 4. Holy cow. So Tampa, goodness. So Tampa gets Green Bay. Then the next week they get the Chiefs. Like, wow.
Yep, that's gonna be a rough stretch.
I mean, hey, I don't feel bad for y'all. Just saying. Do you?
Nope.
And of course, I believe it's week 1, they get Dallas.
That's right, they do get Dallas again. They get Dallas on Sunday night.
So fun, but in Dallas this time. So fun times for Tom Brady. All right. Are there any other matchups before we get to the big matchup that you want to mention?
All right. A couple I had written down were week 1. The season literally kicks off with the Buffalo Bills traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. So we get the defending champions against a team that has their sights set on a Super Bowl. And to make it more fun, Von Miller's first game as a Buffalo Bill will be against the Rams, the team that he just won the Super Bowl with. So not quite a revenge game, but it's interesting that he just kicks off the season against his old team. I had week 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. So maybe this could be a Brian Flores revenge game, and it's on Sunday nights. So everybody's gonna be watching that one.
Oh crap. Just to bring something up. How do you think Mika? Is it Micah? Mika. Yeah, Mika. How do you think he feels about Brian Flores being there?
I don't know.
Remember, he pushed his way out of Miami.
At this point, yeah, it's Flores just a defensive coach. He's not even a defensive coordinator. So I'm sure they're either...
Right, but he still might have to deal with...
On some level, yeah, I didn't even think about that one. That's good.
Interesting. What are some of the other games?
Let's see. I had Week 11. Tennessee travels to Green Bay. It's the number 1 seeds from this past season going against each other on Thursday Night Football. And I like it because I really don't recall many good games on Thursday Night Football over the past couple of years, so this is going to be a really good one. I had Week 13. The Cleveland Browns travel to none other than Houston for Deshaun Watson to return to Houston. So assuming he's playing.
If he's playing.
I'm sure he's not going to get a standing ovation from the crowd. And then I have 2 more.
As long as we get Santa Lovey.
Yeah. Week 13, I have Miami traveling to San Francisco. So in his rookie year as a head coach, Mike McDaniel returns to the Bay Area as a head coach so he can face off against his friend and former boss with Kyle Shanahan. And then week 15, the New England Patriots, they travel to Las Vegas. And Josh McDaniels gets the opportunity to take on his former boss, Bill Belichick, on Sunday Night Football. So yeah.
Remember the last time McDaniels beat Belichick? It was great. that was the greatest fist pump I've ever seen.
We'll see if it happens again.
All right. So then we'll get to both of ours favorite matchup of the entire season. Am I wrong for saying that? Am I wrong for assuming this is your favorite matchup too?
Yeah, this is my favorite matchup as well. Absolutely. That's accurate.
I will be at this game.
Ooh.
In gear, because I ain't afraid of y'all. I'm repping 24/7, 365. And 366 in a leaf gear. Week 10, the Dallas Cowboys go to visit the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau. Most likely this is going to be a big-time matchup. That's what we're both hoping for. At the time, hoping for a great game. This most likely will be able to go either way.
So not only do our teams go head-to-head, but this will be Mike McCarthy's return to Green Bay since he was fired. And
possible revenge game.
And I'm hoping that Lambeau does not boo the man. He doesn't deserve the boos. He helped lead Green Bay to a Super Bowl.
He got you a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Anybody who gets you a Super Bowl does not get booed.
They shouldn't know, so I hope the crowd treats him right, gives him a little bit of an ovation when he comes in, he gets announced. I hope that happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's right, Green Bay people. Don't be Philly. Don't be Philly. That's all I'm saying is I'm sorry. The Philadelphia Eagles fans boo everyone. They booed Santa Claus.
And now that you mentioned Philly, I think... Yes, week 4, not as big as Green Bay and Dallas, but week 4, Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars come to Philadelphia. They'll probably boo him.
Ooh. I mean, they're going to get stomped.
Probably.
All right, any other thoughts on this schedule?
Let's see, final thought is, I guess the NFL schedule makers thought that the Detroit Lions having Hard Knocks and being able to host a draft in the next couple of years was enough to snub them from any and all primetime games. I think the only big televised game they play is on Thanksgiving, but they have the early game again on Thanksgiving. So, interesting.
Well, it's because that's when they always play.
But that's their only prime game.
Maxed out. Guess whose 2 teams max out on primetime games?
Is it Green Bay and Dallas?
Yes. Yes, it is. Even though our Thursday game is not considered a primetime game, so technically we get an extra one.
Maybe Thursday games will be prime time soon because Amazon's hosting them all now.
But you guys get a international game.
We do.
So that's at what, like 10 a.m.?
Man, I guess you gotta start drinking early that day.
Also, one more talking point, considering we're talking about the schedule. I don't know when it's happening, and I don't know if it really is happening, but it is the rumor. How do you feel about the NFL ticket possibly going to Apple instead of DirecTV? Oh, he feels good about it. I see that. I see that. He feels good about that.
It'd probably be better. I'm sure Apple would invest a lot of money to get the NFL
Well, it'd be more
ticket.
accessible.
Yes, yeah, that is true. That's accurate. I'd be in favor of it.
Because I can guarantee you Apple would set it up. Now, no, it would probably be streaming only, because that's all Apple really is. But Apple would set it up so that you don't have to sign up for Apple TV Plus to get the Sunday ticket. You can just buy the Sunday ticket separately.
Yeah, they would get the viewership would just skyrocket. That would be...
Now, that
like
being
said,
said,
yeah,
also,
move.
All right, that being said, a reason why I would be excited about it, I've had DirecTV. The Apple interface is far superior than DirecTV's interface, and above and beyond superior than the NFL's interface. Just saying.
All right, Apple, you heard it here. Get the NFL ticket.
Make it happen. That being said, I think that's all she wrote for this one. Any extra thoughts? Go ahead, give your words of wisdom if there are no extra thoughts.
No extra thoughts, but words of wisdom are be kind to one another. It's simple. Just be kind.
My words of wisdom, I'm going to piggyback that, but not really. I'm going to counter it. Forget being kind, be honest. Don't be mean, just be honest.
Be tactful and honest. Not like Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, tactful. I mean,